IVM.
Hey everybody, quick request once again, if you could help us out by filling out our survey. It's at ivmpodcast.com/survey. This really helps us talk to advertisers about the kinds of people listening to these shows. Really do appreciate your help, and we're going to be doing a random drawing, and we'll be sending out some IVM swag. Hope you enjoy that.
Hello one, hello all. Welcome to the Diary of the Traveling Professor. And I'm Siddharth Deshmukh, your friendly neighborhood traveling professor himself. As I sit here and record this podcast diary entry of mine, there is a clear doomsday scenario outside in the UK. The lockdown has been just announced and the Christmas relaxation norms and guidelines and all have been kind of scrapped. And there's a storm brewing outside and I can actually hear the winds gushing as I speak. So it's kind of, it kind of suits 2020 really well. It really has caused havoc and destruction this entire year for a lot of us. And it has been extremely tough, for many livelihoods, for many professions. And for all of us, it has been tough on health. It has been tough on mental health. It has been tough on, so many things, so many factors, right? And it is a doomsday sort of scenario a lot of times when you think about it from a non-rose tinted glass scenario, which is tough for me to admit, to be honest, because normally I'm a fair optimist. But it is a very, very tough year. And hopefully with 2021, although it's completely arbitrary, the viruses are not going to listen to, just us wanting to shift from 31st December to 1st Jan. That's not going to change much. Hopefully the doomsday scenario won't repeat itself. But something, doomsdays remind me of the fact that Google actually shut down for 45 minutes just a few days back. And I did some research on it and I figured out that, oh my God, if something like this actually happens when Google is actually connected more deeper into your home, it's going to have a bigger problem. Because at the moment, all that happened perhaps for a lot of us was, Google shut down. You could still access a lot of Google if you went into the incognito method because you wouldn't have signed in. But if you had signed in, then you could found yourself signed out. A lot of people who had already signed into Gmail didn't have a problem at all, is what I believe. And perhaps it was not felt as much by people except for maybe professors and students, because students suddenly said they were taking exams. By the way, they were taking exams. And the funny thing that happened was students suddenly told professors that they're not able to actually see their exams anymore. Think of all the dog ate the homework excuses, and you had the biggest dog ate the homework excuse of them all. Google is down. But it made me realize that we are so dependent on these tech companies. So dependent, whether it's Google or whether it's Facebook/Instagram or whether it's Amazon or whether it is any other, right? Apple, etc. We are so dependent and helpless that a lot of times, and it's true, Google Home, which is what connects Google into your home and allows for your devices to be connected. Actually, that shut down for a lot of people over here in the UK, and it did create a bit of a havoc. Now, imagine if this happened across all big tech. It would be a bit of an issue, wouldn't it? I mean, just a couple of months back, Facebook/Instagram was being sued for it snooping on the data of people, right? And profiting off it. Apparently, it was accessing cameras and stuff like that. I think the matter is still out in court. But again, it is a doomsday scenario. Imagine if, suddenly people realize that Facebook and Instagram need to be shut down. Hey, in India, I know that TikTok was shut down, for at least temporarily, if not, for a longer period of time, because there has been a clash of governments and there has been a clash between, China and India. So TikTok is kind of banned. So you have these scenarios playing out of big tech giants kind of failing us in our time of need. Kind of is befitting the year 2020. But, today, I don't think that we can literally take it if one of these core internet-based services actually fails us, whether it's Google or whether it's, social media or whether it's Amazon. In fact, one of the core heartening aspects of the epidemic or pandemic or whatever you want to call it was that our logistics was so beautifully done by the human race, and specifically by Amazon, Flipkart and Myntra and so many other e-commerce giants, that we could actually depend on them for delivery till the last mile, in spite of the fact that most of the world was in a lockdown. So while there was hope of, at least logistics getting improved and we experienced the whole of it, can you just imagine if Amazon shut down for a week? Or can you imagine if Google shut down for quite a bit? Or so on and so forth. It is impossible for us to imagine our phones being shut down. And I think that it is high time that we look at this black swan in the eye and wonder what would our life be if something like this does happen. Now, I don't want to be alarmist. I don't wish to be alarmist. I'm sure that Google and Facebook and everybody will continue doing what they're doing well. But one of the reasons why I actually support, the drive against monopoly that is happening out in the US with the big four or big five, Apple, Microsoft, Facebook, etc., being scrutinized for being monopolies is, hey, in a doomsday scenario, if a company shuts down, if it doesn't have too much of competition, what will happen, right? And we cannot really afford in this day and age to be actually without the internet. It's a scary thought, but I feel that somewhere we must live with this reality and prepare for it, because if we do prepare for it, perhaps we could have some intelligent and creative solutions. But to think about it, we cannot be lemmings, and we cannot take into account that doomsday scenarios won't repeat themselves. After all, who thought that the pandemic would happen, right? Who thought that Google would shut down even for 45 minutes? I'm not sure what the hell the problem actually was, some authorization stuff that they gave me. And conspiracy theories always abound whenever it comes to, these sexy big tech giants like Google and Instagram and the rest of it. But what I do feel is, conspiracy theory or not, I believe that whether you have a business or whether you have a livelihood or whether you have a lifestyle that is dependent on the internet, please look at alternative ways of fulfilling the three. Now, what I'm saying is counterintuitive, but didn't it happen the other way around? I mean, like for a teacher, right, like me, I'm used to going to the classroom and teaching, and then I had to make the shift towards being online. Now, just imagine if the situation is reversed and now I have to go from online to offline. Can I do it? Can my business succeed without Facebook? Can my business succeed without Instagram, WhatsApp? Can my livelihood continue being what it is if Google was down? And then after the initial panic, what tends to happen is that a certain way in which the human mind says, okay, you know what, that's all right. I'll figure out something. This is the way in which I can. So please, for your own lifestyle, for your own profession, for your own livelihood, come up with those plans and solutions, come up with those plan Bs, plan Cs and plan Ds, and kind of keep them ready. Keep them in your Christmas stocking and give them as a Christmas gift to yourself. I know nobody would want to open a Christmas gift like that, which is like, in case of doomsday, do this. But I think it might be par for course, given the fact that we are living in very strange times, black swan times, I'm telling you, black swan times. So here's the traveling professor saying, take care, people, make your plan B for next year. Make sure that it includes doomsday scenarios which we take for granted, and especially when it's connected to the internet or when it's connected to your own health and anything else that you may think that you are actually taking for granted. Well, I hope you like this diary entry of mine. A little somber, this one, a little somber, but you can take a little, being somber, isn't it? I think that the whole idea is to sweat in peace so we bleed less in war. On that note then, I promise you my next diary entry will be certainly different from, striking terror in the hearts of people who are listening to me. But if you like what I do and if you want to listen to the lighter side of me, well, there is always the Instagram. And I make some thoughtful notes which, are connected to my diary entry on LinkedIn. Do follow me there. And if you like podcasts like these, there's ivmpodcast.com, or then there's the app. Happy listening, people, and see you soon.
I hope you enjoyed that show. If you aren't following us on social media, please do. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Once again, just a quick reminder, please do help us out by filling out our survey. It's at ivmpodcast.com/survey. It really does help us figure out who's listening and, what are the characteristics that we can go and push to advertisers. That is massively helpful to us. Please, please, please do help out with that. So, on the network this week, let me start with a quick milestone. It's the 100th episode of Begin the Journey with Ashish Vidyarthi. Congratulations to Ashish and the team. Great show. If you're not listening to it, he talks to you about just how to approach life. It's just very, very cool stuff. Do check this out. Want to mention the note with Maruk Inayat. She talks about why petrol prices are so high. On the Wired Talk, Siddharth speaks with Harsh Mandar. On Advertising is Dead, Varun speaks to Kabir Biswas, the founder of Dunzo. They have a really interesting conversation about, what's the future of Dunzo and what they're thinking about. On the Traveling Professor's Diaries, check out Siddharth talk about the performance paradox. I found it really fascinating and interesting. I think that you guys will really get something out of listening to that. Please do give that a listen. And finally, let me mention Zindagi Diaries. It's Ragini Kumar's poetry podcast. The first week when it came out, we put out 5 poems first week. We put out another 5 poems this week, and the response has been phenomenal. Do check it out. It's in Hindi. It's a poetry podcast. Something a little different. Do give it a shot and let us know what you think. And with that, I hope to see you again next week.
पेश खिदमत है आपकी शान में हमारे अंजुमन से. Hi, I am Sadaf.
And I'm Arshit. खाने का इतिहास, economics, policy, psychology, सब है मेन्यू पे.
Only on the Nankali podcast every Wednesday. सिर्फ IVM podcast app या वेबसाइट पर या फिर जहां से भी आप अपने पॉडकास्ट सुनते हो.